I'm Amanda Wagner. I'm the co-founder of Curate This.
I'm Julius Ferraro. I'm co-founder of Curate This.
Curate This is a website. We provide a platform for artists to define and drive the conversation about the arts in Philadelphia. Today we are going to ask each other two questions about our blog post for this week. So Julius, this is why I needed two frames, and I'm going to ask you two questions about your blog post.
Okay.
But before we do that, can you give me a summary of what you wrote?
Well, I wrote about how so with Curate This, we're often working with curators. The whole idea is that a different artist from any medium in Philadelphia curates the content for the website for that week, and how I had encountered several curators who said people in my medium don't write about their work, and I thought that was interesting, so I talked about that, and I asked people to fill out a survey that said, I work in this medium, and people in my medium do or do not write.
Cool. So first, I'm going to ask you, this is live, Kate.
I'm just videoing.
But how many people have actually responded to this survey?
That's the first question?
Yeah, that's my first question.
2 people have responded to the survey.
We'll do better next time.
One of them.
The survey? Give it to me right now. Sorry, I'll leave.
Come back.
She's fired.
She's fine. She doesn't work for us.
Two people responded to the survey. One doesn't write, and one does.
Do they tell you why?
I mean, it wasn't super enlightening. One is a playwright and a grant writer, and they write a lot. And the other, at this moment, I don't remember what the medium was, but they don't write. The responses to the survey weren't super enlightening.
But let's say, like, hypothetical situation, right? You minimize it to your 2 survey results. Do you think because maybe perhaps one incorporates writing into the way that they express their work, that it has like a firmer standing with them? It's something that they're more, happy to do?
Sure, I think that's totally true. But what's interesting to me about what's been interesting to me is people talking about mediums that don't necessarily include writing at all, like dance, music, things like that don't include words at all. And that's kind of what I was getting at. Like certain types of dancers do write and other types don't. Certain types of musicians do write and other types don't. And so that's what I wanted to find kind of how much of that was one person's. What I really wanted was for 150 people to respond and find out how much that was one person's kind of self-concept, and how much of that is actually, people that are into modern dance do use writing. Yeah. People that are into jazz dancing are not writers.
Cool. Okay, so perhaps we'll try it again at some other point when more people are willing to operate a survey.
Yeah.
So for my blog post this week, I actually provided a video installation, which was partly inspired by this week's curator, Adam Petito, which he's a videographer. And I also primarily work, in terms of my own artwork, in video installation. And some additional context for that is I work for the government. I'm really fascinated by this recycled language that everybody in their different career cultures uses. And so I created a video about it. Questions?
So my first question is, when I watched this, I was thinking about it as a performer, because theater is my medium. And I was wondering, how much thought did you put into the stabbing of the spinach with the fork? It was really kind of fun to watch and kind of think about why you were doing that. I think it's half of what's going on. So I was thinking a lot about why you were stabbing it. And I guess my question is, were you intentional about what you were thinking about while you were stabbing that spinach, or were you just stabbing spinach?
Yes, it was intentional, but it was also an experience that I kind of brought over, right? I was at this particular school for my type of workers, right, that I've signed up for through my job. And serve food, and there was a salad situation, and I had one leaf of lettuce on my plate, and it was just this like drenched in dressing, of course, and I'm just stabbing at it, and there's just this really awe-inspiring moment for me where it felt like a metaphor for a lot of the things that occur in government, and I couldn't get to what I really wanted to get to, right? Which was like the goal there was consuming the leaf. So that visual felt very strongly to me as like a metaphor for my own personal situation, and to a certain degree, it's relatable, right? The emotion of trying to get to something that you can't get to, and that was kind of the whole thing I was trying to bring visually into the piece.
Cool. So then I guess my follow-up question. So you say you were intentional about it. You had a visual concept in mind, but actually, actively, what were you doing to the leaf?
To what?
To the leaf. To the spinach leaf. What were you doing in your mind? What were you doing? And did it change? And if so,
so it's funny because you asked that because you're based on your interpretation, right? Like you saw my movements becoming. Granted, when I first did this, I was like, Julius, look at this. What are your feelings? And that was your interpretation of it, right? Is that there was like a certain emotions that were going through the sleeve. There was like a building process, right? Or not building process, but just like a building tension. And for me, that wasn't the case at all. I was very genuinely trying to get the leaf into a manageable state. And perhaps I became more frustrated with the process, but that was always the idea that was in mind, right? Is that there's a leaf, I want to get it on my fork to a place where I can put it in my mouth, and I couldn't do that. And that was kind of like that was the whole of the frustration, right? And I'm trying to do that. So I mean, in terms of like the visuals again, like that is what I was trying to achieve, and I couldn't. And a funny part of this is to set that up in a way that's fairly organic. I had to figure out how to not be able to pick up a leaf or like a piece of spinach with a fork. And the thing that ended up working the best was vinegar. It's like putting a shit ton of vinegar on a piece of spinach makes it a lot more difficult for you to pick it up. So fun fact for everybody. Anyway, I think that's it for our Periscope session.
Our first Periscope?
Yeah. So thank you for anybody who has tuned in, and hopefully you'll see more from us.
Just take a bowl and be like, yo, you decide.
Where's the end, dude? Where's the end? Okay.
How do you end that?